The crew worldwide, from Cali to Twitter, real hardcore fans, boxing ass niggas, consistency cops, police the views, we'll pull up receipts for any debate you choose. Shout outs to Clan Archie for the dope production. Ring Gang stay with the best discussions. Ring Gang Radio.
Right. And then also too, his last, the other fight is considered a robbery, and this one is not mentioned as much among the casuals or the ones that are pseudo like quasi casual, if you want to call them that. But among the hardcores, this is known. His first big fight or second big fight against Jose Luis Ramirez, the first fight, the one where he loses his zero. This fight is a robbery.
That fight was bad, yeah.
This fight, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. This was Ramirez was literally taken to school in this fight. And somehow, some way, two judges saw it for Ramirez by one by 5, the other one by 1. By absolute nonsense scores. It was insane how much of a robbery this fight actually is. There was absolutely no way that Ramirez won the fight. And like I said, I mean, you have other boxing writers that mentioned this fight. That fight pissed them off. However, though,
he's early in his career. That's why a lot of people kind of they forget about it.
And they forgot about it even more because this was the only loss that he was able to rematch. He faced him again, and it was a clinic too. He faced him, I think, like a year or two after. I think it was a year after, and basically he whooped him. Like the scores saw that, and two of them were almost like a straight wash, if I'm not mistaken. And I think he picked up one of the lightweight belts too. So yeah, that one, like I said, that one, if you're ever curious about the Ramirez fight, watch both of them, the first one, and you'll see clearly that Pernell did lose too many rounds in both fights. You could probably count on your hands how many rounds he lost in both of those fights.
It just make you it's like it almost seemed like the system ain't want to see him shine.
No.
Man.
Yeah, but it is, it's something else. But it also says something about his greatness, that it took 15 years into his actual career before the public unanimously agreed, both on the hardcores and the casuals and the in-betweens, boxing fraternity, all of that, the man actually took his loss. And this is what we call his post-prime period. Because after the De La Hoya fight, unfortunately, like I said, Pernell declined through various reasons, age, injuries, and other issues.
We won't get into all of that.
We won't get into that, no. Because like I said, every human has their flaws or whatever.
Nobody perfect, so
Yeah. No,
we celebrate the greatness, but we still understand that it's two sides of everything, yin and yang, and we about that boxing right now.
Right. And then, like I said, it took 15 years into his career to actually safely say that he actually lost fight. Now, of course, that was, of course, against Felix Trinidad, who at that time was just a monster at that particular point. He was ending careers or diminishing careers at that particular point. And it was a fight that I remember I was not really too keen on watching, only because of the things that I heard, that I was thinking to myself, oh man, Tito's gonna hurt this guy. And it was competitive enough. He made it competitive enough that Tito was still missing, but he wasn't missing a whole lot. I mean, Tito.
Yeah. He made you could almost tell Trinidad. I think Trinidad would always be a problem for a guy like Whitaker, even if Whitaker was in his prime, because Trinidad is a big dude and he throws good, clean, compact punches, sharp, short. You know, he's pressured, nothing stops him.
Yeah, and it was definitely.
He will always be a bad matchup for Pernell.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean, Sweet Pea suffered a fractured jaw in that fight, and was knocked down. You know, was knocked down in the fight once. You know, but
he
still,
took a lot of those shots, man. Like he took them like a G. It really makes you wonder, like, because Trinidad put beatings on bigger guys, bigger fighters,
right?
And they whipped it under all of that. And here's Sweet Pea just in the corner smiling, taking punches and making them miss, and you know, going down and bouncing on his knees, and
right.
like he like Pernell, like the swag he has. He can get beat up one-sided in a fight, and he'll still make you entertaining. You'll still root for him. You still like him, and you just still respect him all the same. And that's what I got from the Trinidad fight. Like you don't see too many dudes just lose like that to somebody they know like would always be a problem. Because I'm just letting you know, man. So Trinidad's the beast. His style, you know, I know people might liking him to Chavez, but nah, it's different. Like,
yeah,
Chavez ain't have no power in the physicality like Trinidad, and Trinidad hands were way quicker.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's all I, you know, because I don't want people to be like, you know, because you know how people always kill Trinidad with he's one-dimensional.
Yeah.
You're one-dimensional, but like damn near all-time great in that one dimension.
Exactly.
So that, you know, just keep that in mind, and Pernell just took that.
Yeah, I mean, and even he acknowledged the loss and everything like that. I mean, he was still classic to the end in that fight. And then after that fight, unfortunately, he would have one more fight, and it would be his final fight. And it's kind of crazy because now this fight was in the 2000s, 2001. You know, I'm in college at this particular point, man. And truth be told, I remember this fight just came up. Like I didn't even know until like maybe because I remember I was just fooling around on the computer. I was in my dorm room or whatever, and then there's mention like Whitaker. I was like, Sweet Pea's fighting, and it was weird because he was not fighting on HBO, but he fought on ESPN Friday Night Fight. Is like. Okay. It's been a while. I mean, unless I'm drawing a blank, it had probably been a while since Pernell Whitaker actually fought on ESPN. But to see that in 2000, you know, he was like 37, give or take, around that time, and it was sad, you know. And you know, the end came in that fight not because he got outboxed or anything like that, but unfortunately, he had injuries, and he went in there injured. He had injured shoulder, and he ended up breaking his clavicle. You know, his clavicle, you know, basically you break that, you have a hard time lifting the arm of whatever side you break the clavicle. So,
and at that stage in your career and at that age, that's a hard thing to come back from.
Yeah, you know, and unfortunately, you know, what you saw in the Tito fight, unfortunately, was too much, and unfortunately, he got stopped by a cat who couldn't even lace his boots, you know, on his best day, and you know, and that was the quiet end of Pernell Whitaker. Now, Pernell Whitaker in retirement, though, and it's kind of it seemed like to me, Elby, that he kind of faded from public view, from like the boxing view. And I mean, like I said, there were stories on why. I mean, he had his issues going on or whatever. But it really did seem that a lot of people because I remember in 2000, like he was brought up, but he wasn't brought up frequently, especially for a guy who was probably the top 3 pound for pound fighter in the 90s, in the previous decade. You know, right. So it's always kind of weird. Like, I mean, like every time that he was in the news, it wasn't for anything positive. You know, it wasn't like, hey, you know, you were a great fighter, Pernell Whitaker, or Sweet Pea, you were the best, you know. A lot of defensive fighters that came after him owe their careers to Pernell Whitaker, for real.
Yes.
Yeah. The ones who weren't blessed with that, who weren't blessed with the physicality or the power of, you know, but his style made it more palatable for people that, you know, to display them on TV, so, you know, to put them in fights or whatever. But it seemed like, as you know, there were more of them coming. Like, more of them coming up. Like Pernell just faded from view. Like he wasn't mentioned like at all that much. And I that was puzzling. I mean, I think in this decade, I think that's when Pernell Whitaker started getting some more notice. I think you can probably chalk it also to the rise of YouTube. YouTube has actually been a wonderful tool in terms of for people actually if you want to learn boxing, because and this will possibly be a future episode in terms of how people used to watch boxing, especially how me and LB used to be catching these fights. But it made it a lot simpler because obviously people start uploading the fights on YouTube, and some people, creative people used to make compilations, and you got to see like, this is Pernell Whitaker. He was doing all this. That he was a bad dude, And I think
exactly. Y'all have it easy now.
Yeah.
Y'all you miss a fight, you could look for it. I mean, give or take, there's always gonna be some hard fights to find.
Mm-hmm.
But you could, the chance is a lot greater than it was back then. Because, like I got Pernell Whitaker fights on VHS. Like,
yeah.
Like, and just it's more trouble for me now to go in the closet and sort through some stuff to get the tape. I could just go to YouTube now. Yeah,
and probably in LB, I would probably recommend you to digitize them stuff at some point. Because like I said, you can't. That's a lot of boxing history right there.
Yeah, man. Like, yeah. I got a lot of boxing VHS, a lot of the interviews. I'm talking about HBO, Showtime, reviews, like ESPN, like the Contender, like all of that. Like, so you're absolutely right. That is a lot of history that we preserve and put out there for the future generations. One thing I like to mention about Pernell Whitaker, I don't know if a lot of people are even familiar with the show from back in the day, but he made an appearance. It was Pros and Joes. Pros versus Joes.
I remember that episode.
Oh man, and that was one of the best episodes when we got to see Sweet Pea Whitaker still apply his defense and his playful style and still that hard, consistent jab. And he was able to do it to, average Joes who are a lot bigger than him and younger than him. But the thing is, like, if you in boxing, no matter how bad shape you get in or whatever disease or problems, whatever, if you're in some decent health and you could do some athletic ability for like a minute or two, at least a round, these guys, you never lose it. You always gonna show flashes. People be able to see like, yeah, he used to box. He used to box and he was good. And you got to see that, and it was a nice moment. I don't know if it's on YouTube or anything, or I remember it was being on Spike TV back in the day. But if y'all could find those clips, those videos, and watch that, because I'm trying to remember who else was on the show. I'm trying to think.
Gotti. That's not the Arturo Gotti one. That was
Gotti was on there as well.
Yeah, Gotti, I think, brutalized some cats on that one.
Yeah, Gotti don't play like Gotti. Like, you don't play with Gotti on that. Like, and I thought Pernell was like giving it to dudes, but he's playful with it. Like, but Gotti different, man.
Gotti was different.
Gotti, yeah, damn, and just thinking about Gotti and just his situation, how he has to just, you gotta celebrate these guys while they alive and respect them and appreciate the skills and that's all it's about. Because I remember when Gotti passed, that made me feel bad as well. Because if you all know, around that time, it wasn't just Gotti. You had Vernon Forrest and Alexis Arguello, all within, I guess, I believe it was weeks from each other.
Weeks. It was in July. Yeah, it was actually my birthday month, man. It was I feel like the Forrest death made me sick to my stomach. Like,
yes, that one really.
That one. Because basically a coward took him away. The Gotti one is messed up because it was a huge cover up, and I fully believe that Gotti's wife killed the guy, when he was compromised. I fully believe it. There's no way. Yeah, and
it came out of the private investigations and all that, which is sad too.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like all of these situations, and then with Forrest, if you remember the foundation and work he was doing with
with the developmentally disabled adults.
Yes, and it's just when you see somebody like that, removed off this earth by some scum who was just not worth doing anything, wasn't doing it right, it just really hurts.
Yeah.
So that was bad. I know Pernell different because, he's already retired, he's already reached his greatness, but with Forrest, Forrest was a little past it, but he was making his comeback, and
he was a champion. That's the thing. He was
he got his belt back, and then bigger fights was going to happen for him. I think the Sergio Martinez fight was being talked about,
right?
And it just makes you wonder because Forrest's style is all wrong for Martinez, and it's just what could have been, man. But not to drift off, man. It's just remembering all these guys.
Yeah. It's basically just when you're going to where we have fighters that got gone before their time, and Pernell, he was able to settle into retirement. He never made a comeback outside of those fights, and he eventually became a trainer, especially for Zab Judah in his later fights. He trained Judah to his last title win in 2011. So I mean, he was quiet. He was on the little doing his training thing. But
you mentioned that, I gotta bring up the time he was in the corner for, I think, Calvin Brock versus Eddie Chambers.
Oh yes.
Classic Sweet Pea in the corner moments. If y'all never seen that fight, watch it. But the advice and the frustration, how they say some people aren't meant to be trainers because some of them are so great they can't see. They think they can do your greatness.
Yep.
So they might be frustrated. If you ever see that fight, that's a great example of that. But at the end of the day, Pernell Whitaker was still giving this man good advice, and the thing is, I always draw back. On one hand, you got Calvin Brock trying to listen to his father, and he's trying to, that's your dad, well, whatnot, respect, brought you into this world. But then on the other hand, it's like, you got an all-time great telling you stuff, and he's frustrated as hell with you because you not listening to him and you listening to your dad, and this. It was just like, man, it's like, that's the thing about shit. Like, we gotta give you all the moments, man.
Yeah, definitely.
But that was a funny moment to me. It really just made me feel like sometimes when all that chaos is in the corner, you gotta listen to what's best for the situation, not what's best for you. So that's what that moment taught me, because if I have to choose between a legend, guru, all-time great, and I'm getting advice for a certain situation, and the other person happens to be somebody I respect for something else, maybe family, best friend, whatever, you got to go with the greatness, man. So
yeah, that's real talk.
That's a lesson, and that's just a lesson. I'm just showing, putting out there that I learned from Sweet Pea.
Right, and then my particular lesson too is it's more personal, and this will probably be like the last part of our segment with of this podcast with Sweet Pea. Is, as we all know, we started Ring Gang Radio last year, and we've done a lot of, basically, there's been a lot of work we've done behind the scenes. Just trying to get things up and running, try to get things popping, try to build content, and all this wonderful stuff, obviously we spent like hours upon hours of doing it. And then one of the things that happened for us outside of that was, we were able to get credentials to go to these fights, starting earlier this year. And then one of those fights that we got credentials for was the Dimitri Bivol versus Joe Smith Jr. one at Turning Stone Casino. So I go there, the weather. Of course, upstate New York is simply at some points of it, it's like, it seems like after the Revolutionary War, nothing much changed except, for casino. So, I go there, I set up at the press table and everything like that. And then I noticed on the table, there's like a special guest or whatever table. So I asked, and they was like, "Oh, Pernell Whitaker's going there." And dog, when I say I felt giddy and excited, I was excited because, like I said, Pernell Whitaker, let's say, he's one of my boxing idols. So I'm like, oh my goodness, Pernell Whitaker's going to be out. He's going to come up from Norfolk, Virginia, to be up here. So I'm over here. I'm just like, I'm excited or whatever. So when he finally came in with his manager or whatever, he sat down. I'm thinking to myself, oh man, I have to be professional while I'm doing this. But I have to meet him and talk to him. I want to tell him how great he was. And, I say hello, because I say hello, and then, his manager was like, hey, you want to you want to talk to him and take pictures? I was like, and I'm looking at it, can you actually do that? I was like, why shouldn't you? Why can't you? So I was like, okay, well, you want to? So I got to take a couple pictures. I got to take about 4 or 5 pictures with Pernell Whitaker. And I got to talk to him. I got to tell him how great he was and how, I was boxing alibi. And I asked him how he was doing, how he was feeling. He was like, he was great. He was like, and then he was like, he was honored that, that Matchroom invited him up there. He was looking forward to the fight. And then I would end up talking to him intermittently throughout the night. He was enjoying himself, whatever. He was doing his thing. He was enjoying himself, taking pictures. People were coming up here. I think as the word spread that he was in the vicinity, people came up to him, signed there's pictures, signing gloves, signing whatever, and he did that with a smile on his face or whatever. And I'm thinking to myself, this is great that Pernell Whitaker, after all this time, is really getting his he's getting his just due. He's still getting that love from his fans, and it was great. Then and of course I be able to hang around him afterwards and everything like that, and it was just I was like, wow. I met Pernell Whitaker, and the pictures I remember I showed my lady, and she was like, "You look like you were cheesing so hard." And I was like, "Yeah."
I mean, you are in that one pic you have, bro. That I see, you cheesing hard, bro.
And I was like, "Yeah, baby, that's Pernell Sweet Pea Whitaker, of course." That's that's the dude. So. It was great just to have that part, have that memory, basically because of, basically a memory that came to be because of what we did and what we are doing with Ring Gang Radio. So it's a trip to me now, 4 months after that, he passes away, and like LB said, you gotta appreciate these legends when they're still living, and that's what I did. I was able to actually meet one of my box houses, and I was actually able to do that. So it made the cipher complete in a way. So yeah, like I said, Pernell Whitaker, gone. He's in the essence now. Wherever he is, wherever he's at, hopefully there's no pain, no struggle, none of that, none of the issues that were affecting him in the latter part in his post-retirement. Those don't exist anymore. I just hope it kind of stinks now. It took him passing for people to realize what type of person he was, how great of a fighter he was. I see all these tributes now. I mean, there are fighters here that are like, oh man, I wish I could have met him. I'm like, wow. There are professional fighters that I wish they could have met him. In fact, he's supposed to be at the Pop Thurman fight. So I know, I guess one of the local fighters from my hometown was mentioning, Jimmy Williams was mentioning that he was going to me because he's fighting on the undercard. So it was just like it was a huge blow, and
it's tough, man. It's hard, man, but. Sweet Pea, he gonna live in all of us, because how if you box or if you ever train, whenever you get that little sauce, that little flair, and your little shoulders start bobbing.
Yeah.
Walker, and you start bobbing with your knees, and you duck low, and you smiling, and then you making somebody miss. That's Pernell Whitaker. Like he live on in the defense, man. Especially if you're a defensive boxer, I know like myself, he greatly influenced my style of boxing and how I look at the angles and movement and how important body punching is and all of that. So I'm definitely, keep that alive, keep that aspect of the game alive within my soul, because it's just real. Because growing up watching Pernell, him and Chris Bird is what really made me want to go to a boxing show.
Word.
Because they always fought bigger guys, and they killed them with the defense, and they threw combination punches. They just look good. They made being slick look cool. And that's a difference now with the defensive fighters nowadays. They don't make it look cool. They make it look scary.
Right.
And if you saw Pernell Whitaker fight, he never fought scary.
Nah, not at all.
Bird fight never fought scary. So and these guys are fighting killers. It's one thing to make a guy your size miss, or a guy a little smaller than you, and you got the advantages, and or you're super faster. But it's another thing when you having guys like Prime De La Hoya miss punches. Legend, you got a Zuma Nelson missing punches. You got real guy Buddy McGirt missing punches, and he can't run up on you because you digging into his body. Offense guy like Roger Mayweather, you beating him down and just out slicking him. It's just a difference, compared to guys now who run around and dance around the ring against guys who not really going after them. So it just makes you really, when you see the older defensive fighters, and I put Sweet Pea, he the king of that, but I throw in all those 90s guys, because like I said, Chris Bird, he definitely in the same vein, and they really influenced my style for that. It's a drop off now with that, but hopefully guys look at the approach Sweet Pea had and build up the fitness and the stamina, so you could still have some decent offense with the defense, and give a more balanced game, a more balanced approach in boxing. If y'all want Sweet Pea to live on, then y'all do that.
Yeah. And that's well said, man. That's absolutely well said. And after that, like I said, what more can you say, man? We'll end it with that, and saying, rest in peace, rest in paradise, rest in heaven, Pernell Sweet Pea,
power,
rest in power. Yes, like I said, your legacy will live on. It'll never be forgotten. Especially among us that that grew up watching you. You know what I'm saying? So this has been a special edition podcast of Real Talk, where as always, if stuff is real, we talk about it, and we just talked about it. Godspeed.
If you can't skate on my lines when I rock well, got wits like Pernell, shit's the bomb like
10th round, Chavez tearing them down. Sweepy, get your shit off. It's like blacks against the Germans. Getting hit on.